Well, one thing you should never underestimate when you're dealing with the Philippines is scheduling problems. I just found out today I'm heading over there to the Philippines. I'm leaving on the 3rd of April to go over. My flight lands about 8 o'clock on the night of the 4th in Manila, and then the next morning I'm taking a Cebu Pacific flight over to Pagadian City. I thought my wife's graduation from college was going to be on the 9th when I made these plans, and so now I find out that her graduation is going to be on the 5th, which is the day I'm flying from Manila to Pagadian City. So I keep praying now, I guess, that it's going to be in the afternoon. With my luck it probably won't be, but that's what I'm praying for. And of course now I have to pray that Cebu Pacific actually has a flight that leaves on time, miraculously, because my experience with them so far has been, even when it's like their second flight of the day, just waiting for the plane to get there from Pagadian on its first run, that they're always late. So I'm just praying that I will get there in time for my wife's graduation. I mean, her last year of college has pretty much defined our whole relationship so far. You know, from the moment that I met her, she was just getting ready to start back to school in a couple of weeks, and actually she missed a lot of the first 2 weeks of school when she came over to Manila to see me, and then I went back over to Mindanao with her. So I'm really praying that I can get over there for her graduation. It would be a very special thing with everything that we've gone through with her schooling together and everything, and so I'm just praying that will all work out. But that's one thing you have to think about when you're dealing with a relationship where the other person's on the other side of the planet. It's not like, you know, somebody here in Orlando or something where I could just say, you know, go to work and say, hey, they changed the date, I need to get off this day instead of the other day, and it's drive down the street to be there, you know. You gotta make flight plans, you gotta get time off work, you know, schedule your vacation time. You can't just reschedule, you know, your flight on an airline without it costing you a bunch of money, especially if you got a fairly cheap ticket to start with, you know, which is obviously something people are looking for when they're flying around the world to the Philippines. When you're getting a round trip ticket to the other side of the world, that's one of the things you look for, is how can I schedule this and what days can I go where I get the best rate and best investment, you know. So you can't just change those things at the drop of a hat when you find out that schedules have been changed. That's one thing you'll run into, you know, trying to schedule things when you're involved with somebody in the Philippines, that you have to have good intel. You know, it's like putting together a military operation or something. You have to have the absolute best information and most reliable information you can get. And that's very hard to do because things change, you know, it's out of your control sometimes. And you can't just change your plans because, like I say, you know, it's something on the other side of the world. You have to take like 3 or 4 plane rides just to get there. And, you know, reschedule things. You know, like if I were to reschedule my flight to try and get over there a day earlier, then I'd lose the money on my other flight, probably from Cebu Pacific, because I'd have to get another flight the day before, and at this short notice, who knows how much that would cost now, you know. So all those things add up, and that's something you're going to encounter, though, if you're involved with somebody in the Philippines. It's also another reason why, you know, when you're going to the Philippines, if you're involved with somebody who's very close to a major international airport, your life is going to be much easier, and you'll have a lot less hassles. When you're involved with somebody that's in a different place, you know, a smaller island somewhere, and you have to, you know, everything's going in and out of Manila or like maybe Cebu City, depending, you know, that's going to determine what airlines you can use and everything else. So, whenever you end up in a situation like that, If you're involved with somebody who's right there in Manila, in that area, it's no big deal. You get to Manila, take a cab or a bus or whatever, and you're there. But once you get to Manila, if you're involved with somebody from a different place, it's one of those smaller islands somewhere, you've got a lot of traveling left to do before you get there. So even then, when it comes to changing plans, there's a lot of outside factors and variables that you can't just plan on being able to get right there. You've got flight schedules, flight delays. Like I say, Cebu Pacific, they're pretty much always late in my experience and a lot of other people's experience. Then you got to get a bus or a tricycle or whatever. Somebody has to meet you and take you there. If you're either that or you have to find transportation on your own, and it's a big hassle. So that's the one advice, one piece of advice I would give anyone who's getting involved with somebody in the Philippines. As hard as it is, especially with people in the Philippines sometimes, to lock down specifics, because they don't, they're on a different schedule than we are. They're on Filipino time, and it's not like us here in America where we want to lock down a schedule on things, and we kind of understand the importance of that information. Whereas over there, they have a much more lackadaisical attitude, very fatalistic about things a lot of times, and they don't realize that when you're dealing with international airline schedules, you can't have just a blasé attitude about things. You have to have information, and you need it as early as you can get it, and it has to be accurate information. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems. And it's no big deal for them, of course, over there in their little locality where they live, because hey, they can just it doesn't matter, they change the date, so what, they live there. It's not affecting them, it's affecting you when you're trying to get there. And that's one thing you're definitely going to encounter when you're involved with somebody from the Philippines. It's not like a good or a bad thing, it's just the way things are, just because of the logistics, and the complications. It's not like, like I say, it's not like just driving down the street here to talk to someone or do something here. You have to put together a major international expedition just to do anything, just to get there. You have to fly for a day and go through all kinds of crap and check your luggage in and out and pick up your luggage and go through security in 3 or 4 different places sometimes. And it's a major hassle, a very major hassle to do all that. And the only way to put together any kind of major expedition is with serious planning, unless you just don't care when you get there, which is nice, unless you're trying to get there for a specific event, which is what I was trying to do. I thought that I was leaving plenty early enough that even if they did change it by a couple of days, no problem. But of course they change it back to the day I get there. But that just illustrates the point I'm trying to make. If I had known before, when I made my plans originally a couple months ago and got those flights, I could have taken that Saturday off of work and left here on Saturday instead of Sunday morning, and then I'd be there on the 4th instead of getting there on the 5th, the morning of her graduation day, which is something I seriously don't want to miss, but I may end up missing it. Which is something I'm going to regret a lot, but those are the things you encounter when you're dealing with those kinds of relationships, those long-term, long-distance things, obviously long-term too. But when you're dealing with those kinds of logistical problems, that's the problems you're encountering. And you have to understand too that a lot of the times the people that you're dealing with on the other end, they don't understand, because their life experience in the Philippines does not involve the kind of things that ours does. They're not used to super tight time schedules where everything has to be on time. It's you hear about Filipino time, but you have to understand most of the things that they're involved with and that they're doing. It doesn't matter maybe if you're running late. You can be an hour late, you can be 2 hours late, whatever. I went to a birthday party over there one time. We were 2 hours late, if you want to say that, compared to when everybody was supposed to be there, and we were among the first people there. That's just the way it works. But hopefully her graduation will be like that. Maybe I'll get there and they'll be starting at like 3 hours late or something. But over here, and especially when you're talking about airline schedules where you got to be to a point thousands of miles away precisely on time and navigate security and get your luggage onto another plane, and you've only got like an hour layover or something, you have to be very, very careful about things like that. And you know, that's one of the things you're going to have to emphasize if you're involved with someone in the Philippines. You're going to have to make them understand that schedule is very important. Sorry, I'm waving here to my fellow postal workers driving in and waving at me. Anyways, I just wanted to share that little tip with you guys. Or maybe it's just ranting, you know, expressing my frustrations. But good luck. Have a good day. I'll talk to you later.